Alright, what's up guys? We're back here with another movie review, and today we are looking at 2018's Game Over Man. I literally just finished watching this. I sat through the whole thing and I just finished watching it about 5-10 minutes ago. And I took about 5 minutes to use the bathroom and another 5 minutes to really think about how I thought about this movie. I'm going to go ahead and say because what I do with my movie reviews, I liked how the babysitter turned out, how my review of the babysitter turned out, so I think this is how we're going to do it from now on. But, I want to talk about before I talk about the plot of this movie, I want to say that I laughed a lot during this movie. I will admit, the beginning of it, all the way, the first half of the film is actually legitimately funny, and I enjoyed it. But then the next half of it is just, it drags on, and eventually the ending is, I did enjoy the ending wasn't the best executed, but again, it's a comedy movie. And it's a fucking comedy movie. What do you expect? You don't expect a comedy movie to have like a Saving Private Ryan ending. So the ending was all right, but the second half of the film was very just kind of dragged on. But the first half was legitimately funny, and I'll get to that. But Game Over Man follows a set of three waiters, which actually they're housekeepers, and we get to find this out in the first scene of the movie. But there are three housekeepers, and they work in this big ass hotel with a bunch of floors. And there's a party coming to the hotel at night, and this big rich guy. This guy in a suit or whatever. I guess he's like a fucking secretary or some shit for this rich guy, and this rich guy is like this black guy, and it's hard to explain. He's just this really rich black guy, and I think they mention in the movie that he's not actually from America. But then there was another scene in this where he says he graduated at California or something. But I don't know if he's from America or not. They never really go into detail on that. But no, these three guys, they're housekeepers, and they're called upon to be the waiters for the evening. And one of them is actually one of the head actors in the show Workaholics. And then we also got the guy on the right there, which is in I know he's in another movie called The Final Girls. And then that's the only other one that I can name off the top of my head. I know I've seen more stuff with him in it, but that's the one that I can definitely name off the top of my head. That guy's in a interesting take on the slasher genre called The Final Girls, which I probably will eventually review. Now, I know this is another Netflix original, just like The Babysitter, but I'm not going to be just reviewing Netflix originals. I just happened to watch The Babysitter a couple nights ago because it's a guilty pleasure for me, and then I just happened to see this on there, and I'm like, oh, a comedy movie. I feel in the mood to laugh. So I watched it, and I was met with all the expectations I wanted to laugh, but a good movie. We'll get to that later. But see, the first half of this film, there is a fuck ton of violence and nudity in this movie. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. So they're working at this. The first scene is them. They're doing their housekeeping job, and they get called down. The guy in the back there, I can't remember his name, but that's the only actor that I haven't seen in anything else, or maybe I have, but I haven't noticed enough. He's not an A-list, but he's addicted to this. What's it called? This drug, like, knocks you out or some shit, and it's called Sylvia, I think. And he's addicted to this drug, and he keeps smoking it. And he smokes it, and then I guess their boss is this really perky chick, and I forget her name, but she's a manager, and her boss is the big boss. And they all get called down to the lobby, and the big boss is down there, and the big boss is like one of those fucking guys with the gold chain around his wrist. He's an older dude. He's got like the top of his head is bald, white hair. He's got like fucking 70s aviator shades on and a fucking blue suit, and he's a fucking pervert. That's literally his entire reason to live in this movie. And there is a scene involving him that I actually quite enjoyed. No, they get called down, and then the suit guy comes in, the guy that's, I guess, the secretary or some shit of the rich black dude. But he gets called down, and they have this talk about the party, and then we get met with this scene where the security guard down at the garage level of the building sees these black vans pulling in, and fucking hell, I got so excited. And this was why the second half of the film really fell for me. I got so fucking excited because I was watching a TV show about the Green Arrow called Arrow for a while. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but there's also going to be people that haven't. So yeah, there is a show on a superhero called Green Arrow. It's called Arrow. And I legitimately enjoyed the first season. I thought Malcolm Merlyn was a good villain, and he had a super villainish plan. And then the second season was good with Deathstroke. Third season was good. I liked it. It had Ra's al Ghul in it. But the fourth season was my favorite. Now, I'm going to say the fifth season I quit watching because it started to suck. But the fourth season was the last good one. It had fucking Damien Darhk. Who plays as Damien Darhk? Well, the guy that plays the villain in this movie, well, villain, parentheses. The guy that plays the villain in this movie is the same guy that acts as Damien Darhk in Arrow. Don't know the dude's name, but he also plays another villain in Mall Cop 2. I just fucking love this guy. This guy plays an awesome villain. I love it. The reason I liked his character as Damien Darhk so much is because there was so much complexity. He was so sarcastic and psychotic at the same time. I love his villain performance. And he was good in this movie too. So they pull up, and the security guard, this was a scene that made me fucking laugh. So I want to go back and talk about another scene that made me laugh. So when the three housekeepers at the beginning of the movie, they're going into this room, and there's condoms all over the place. And the black minority character from The Babysitter shows up as a cameo in that scene. And so their friend gets high on the bed before he shows up. So they decide, since he's all high and knocked out, we should put one of these condoms on his head. So as the minority character from The Babysitter is walking in the room, he sees these people putting the fucking condom on this guy's head. And I'm just like, oh my God. That was legitimately funny. I laughed at that. I mean, call me immature or whatever, but I legitimately thought that was funny. But then we get the scene where these black vans are pulling up, and this fucking 50, 60, 70-year-old dude is watching this chick shake her ass at his phone screen. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then he leaves, and he gets out to see what the fuck is going on with these people in these black vans. Well, this crazy ass chick with brown hair comes out of the van and throws a ninja star into his fucking eye. Then she pulls it out and licks the blood off of it. Hot. Oh. Okay, so that's about 10 minutes into the film, and it's an hour and 41 minutes. Legitimately, I was still enjoying it, though. I was still enjoying it at this point. But, so that happens, and, so skipping a shit ton of stuff. So these three guys, they have a plan for, they're trying to get money for this video game system that they're trying to build. It's called the Skintendo. And they built this guy called Lumberjack something, and he's black. And he's a lumberjack. And the Skintendo suit can control people, other people can control you. It's like a fucking virtual reality suit or something. And they're trying to build this thing, and it's fucking stupid. That's another thing. I feel like the Skintendo part of this movie really bogs it down. Okay. Legitimately, those of you who did see this, and I'm sure a lot of people did end up watching this, I felt like that whole side storyline with them trying to build something really bogged this movie down. If they would have taken that out and made it three stupid ass bros fighting a bunch of terrorists, and throw in a different important plot point, not a fucking video game suit, I really think that would have helped the movie. I do. I know it's just to be funny, but it really does bog down the movie a lot. But they try to build this suit, and there's funny scenes involving that, but the thing is, it bogs it down a lot. So then we get, skipping all this dialogue, they end up, it's the night of the party. And they end up meeting the rich black guy from another country. God damn it, I can't remember his name, but he's got this little poodle. And I forget what he named him too, but this little poodle's like fucking, so fucking small. And he's got gold chains all over him, and then the black character from another country also has gold chains all over him, and he's kind of a douchebag, and he keeps making fun of his secretary guy. So the thing is, they try to pitch his Skintendo idea to him, and fuck, so they end up coaxing $200,000 out of him. He writes him a check. And then the hotel big boss guy comes in and rips the check up. And he makes the security guards and that crazy assassin chick escort them down the elevator. Well, they end up just going in the elevator by themselves for some shit. And then the assassin chick gets stuck with the hotel big boss guy. And this dude's a fucking perv. So he tries to sexually arouse this chick. This is an actual scene. She unzips his pants and takes one of her ninja stars, and they actually showed this. You hear a cutting sound, and you see a literal giant dick fall on the floor. Like a fully modeled. And this isn't the last time this thing comes back. There is like a seam where this thing is just flopped. This movie has insane nudity in it, but this dick falls on the floor, and it's like this giant ass. The hotel manager guy calls it Swamp Thing. I guess you'd call it Swamp Thing. But moving on, we get a fake out death from him. Now, normally, if this were... See, that's another thing about this movie. This is another point that really bothered me. This dude should have fucking bled out. Well, come to find out, he does come back later in the movie, and he's carrying his dick with him in his hand, and apparently he magically found some cloth and tied a noose or some shit around his dick cavity. Dude, he would have fucking bled out. They cut off the shaft at the shaft. It's like you would die. That shit kills you, okay? And that's another small point that really bogs this movie down. As a comedy movie, I really wouldn't rate it as one of the best comedies I've ever seen. I mean, it was all right. There was a lot of scenes that made me laugh, but that's not enough to say it's awesome. I mean, you gotta have some quality to this. But, goddamn. So, this guy gets his dick cut off, and then shit happens. There's people that die. Then there's this black guy that's in the computer room, and he's protected by 2 more guards, if I remember correctly. And he's got computer surveillance. Then they start putting these bomb collars on everybody, and if any of the entrances are open, the bomb collars will go off or fucking kill somebody. So keep that in mind. That is an important plot point. So Damien Dark's doing his Damien Dark shit. And, yeah, so they're freaking out and they're going all over the place and they end up stopping in this room. But they get stuck in this room because there's 2 guys searching the rooms around where they are. So they decide to come up with a plan. Or the guy from the Final Girls decides to come up with a plan. So the 2 guys, the guy from Workaholics and then the guy, I can't remember his name, they hide behind the bed while the guy from Final Girls hides in the closet. And then we get something that legitimately made me laugh because I believe it was a reference to the singer that died. There was a singer that died from self-erotic asphyxiation where he tied a snakeskin belt around his neck while he was jerking off and it choked him to death. That's an actual thing. Yeah, that actually happened. The singer died like that. So these 2 guys come in the room. Well, this one guy comes in the room. One of them does. And he opens the closet. And the guy from fucking Final Girls has his pants off and his hand on his dick. And he's got a belt around his neck that's attached to the bar in the closet. And it looks like he killed himself. And the guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, look at this sad fucker." And then we get another hilarious scene that I legitimately enjoyed. These 2 guys start making out. I do not like that part because I don't do that shit. I have a girlfriend, thank you. But these 2 guys start making out and so he bursts out of the closet. He's got no fucking pants on. And this entire scene, his dingle dangle, like this ain't. I don't think this was an actual prop. His dingle dangle is wagging all over the fucking place in this entire scene. His balls are out. His wiener's out. Shit is flying. I kid you not. This is actually in the fucking movie. For this entire fucking scene, his balls are fucking waving, just fucking wobbling. It's just like, what the hell? So he tackles these guys in the bed. They fucking... Then I guess one of them beats the other guy in the head with the lamp. One of the buddies beats one of the bad guys in the head with the lamp. Supposedly kills him. It's another fake out death. Then they have this big old fight scene with the other guy, and the guy from Final Girls becomes completely useless throughout this fight. And the guy from Workaholics has this guy chasing after him, and he ducks, and the guy misses, and he smashes his head on the nightstand table, which breaks his neck and kills him. Then they come up with this amazing plan to zip tie a bunch of ties together and scaffold across to the skyscraper across from them. They do this with an ironing table. Because apparently the guy from Workaholics is a smart guy. So they do this, and they get out, and the guy that they smashed the head with the lamp ends up waking back up, and he tries to attack them, but they manage to get out the window. And he falls out the window, and this fucking couch smashes on his fingers, and he almost dies. But they the zip tie line snaps, and then we get another hilarious scene. This movie was still pretty good after this point, but this fucking ironing table smashes into the surveillance room where all the cameras are and the black guy is, and that one guard. There's one guard in there now, and he's like this super tall dude. Fucking ironing table smashes in there and hits this guy in the back, and his fucking jaw. Okay. Imagine like a dude's jaw is down here, like down, and his head's up here, like he's about to chomp on something. Dudes, that slip in between your mouth, that dude's part in between his mouth went into this table, and it like shredded through the back of his jaw, and it fucking killed him. Great ass death scene. And then the black guy is like, oh shit, these guys are in here, and he calls Damien Dark. Things are going to shit. So he pulls out a Glock or a Beretta or some shit, and he puts him in gunpoint. But the gay guy, the gay bad guy, wakes back up, and he manages to get back in the room. But when he gets back in the room, the couch that the zip ties were tied to crashes out the fucking window, and the zip tie rope attaches this black guy's leg or ankle, and it fucking drags him out the window and smashes his head on the concrete pavement below, killing him. Goddamn. And then there's an entire scene where the guy from the Final Girls is saying, oh man, that guy's like fucking spaghetti. Spaghetti with chunks. I legitimately found that funny as well. So then they're in the room, and we get to figure out, this is where the movie slows down after the scene. So they find out that the secretary guy of the dude from a different country, the rich guy, I'm going to call him the rich guy. They figure out that the secretary of the rich guy, which is a dude, has the surveillance guy's number in his phone. And this is weird. So he calls the fucking number not knowing who it is. And then everybody finds out, and the big twist is revealed that the secretary guy was actually in charge of the whole operation. And what does he do? Well, aside from Damien Dark beforehand killing a bunch of people, yeah, Damien Dark does end up wasting a bunch of people, but it's not important to the plot, I don't think. Because, I mean, it's not important to the plot, and it doesn't affect the movie at all. But, no, he ends up being the bad guy, and he shoots Damien Dark in the head and kills him. And this is where the movie falls flat for me. Then we get this douchey secretary guy, and he's the typical villain. He's crazy to a point where he's just a kill everybody guy. Not kill everybody creatively, just blow their heads up or fucking shoot them. There's nothing really to it. So then we get more sneaking around, and they come up with this brilliant idea to take the drug that the other guy has been taking. And this is another point of the movie. It's just, the movie really slows down at this point, and there's a couple funny scenes, but it really slows down right around this time. They build this fucking machine, and they plan on filling the conference room with this drug that makes everybody hallucinate. Or some shit. It's the drug that the guy that I can't name is using. Sylvia or something. I think it was called Sylvia. But they decide to pump it in the room, but the assassin chick is out looking for him with two other guard guys. And they end up finding them in the generator room. But the three guys narrowly escape by turning on the Sylvia machine inside the generator room, knocking out the woman and one of the guards, which was another black guy. But there's another guy, I think he's like Chinese or something. He chases after the three guys because he's the only one that didn't get knocked out. The Workaholics guy and the guy that I can't name end up hiding in a room, but the guy from the Final Girls ends up going to the kitchen and having a big fight scene with this guy. which ends in him putting his head next to a there's I don't know what they're called, but there's like those buzzsaw tables and butcher factories where they thinly slice the meat. He puts his ear up against one of those and chops off his ear, and then he ends up doing it more times to where it literally shaves off like a flap of the side of his face. And then when he gets back up, there's like a fucking skull matter exposed. And then he decides to charge after him since he's not dead yet. And the Workaholics guy shows up and he blows his head off. And they're all pissed off at the Final Girls guy because he keeps screwing everything up. So they would have this big fight where I didn't think the scene was too funny. I felt like it was a little bit too pushed on to us. Well, pushed on to me during the movie. It's the scene where they get pissed off each other and they start shooting next to each other, just barely missing each other. And they shoot out all their ammo. And then the gay guy shows back up and they got no ammo, and this guy puts him at gunpoint and he takes him down to the spa of the hotel and fucking decides to torture them with a hot rock and a towel and an electrocution machine. Well, come to find out, this scene was actually legitimately funny. I did like this scene. As I said, there's some parts in this that I did like. Because the guy from the Final Girls decides to redeem himself and try to take out this guy. So he's like making fun of him. And he's like, the gay guy's like, it's time for you to have a deep tissue. And then he's like, oh, this guy with the fucking puns. And then he rams him with the table, the tanning table that he's on, shoves him against the wall, and then all this shit happens. They end up getting untied. And he ends up fucking shooting this guy in the chest several times, killing him. And then the other gay guy is finally dead after all this time. Yes, he is finally fucking dead. Okay, then we get this fucking secretary guy is like making demands and stuff. He wants fucking money. He wants a helicopter. And he wants this guy to give him the codes. Guy doesn't give him the codes, so he asks the government, give me the fucking codes or I'm going to kill this rich guy or whatever. And god damn it. It's just like, okay, he wants money. He wants out of there. Typical villain monologue. See, I like Damien Dark's character because he was fucking crazy. This guy is just an average villain. He's not anything impressive. So they all get put up in the conference room and we get another scene that actually was actually a pretty good idea. So they take the dog and strap one of the bombs around his neck, and they put so if these two bricks, they're not magnetized or anything. You literally have to keep them next to each other. But if these two bricks were to fall apart even in this inch, it would explode the collar. So they put this thing up against, they put the dog inside of a fish tank with this necklace and make it swim until it gets tired or drowns or some shit. And they put this bomb up next to the tank and make the rich guy lean back on it to where he's holding it up. And this is one of the problems that I have with this scene in specific. Near the end of it, I had the problem. He fucking trips the guy and the bomb drops and the fucking dog blows up and the dog dies. Then the game over, the three bros decide to build this Skintendo suit and put it on the dead body of the gay guy because apparently it can move. They build this fucking... So this is one of the scenes I just had so much trouble comprehending why it's possible, because it wasn't. It's impossible. They take this dead guy and put him inside the suit that they've been working years on, and they don't even know how to fucking build it, and they magically build it out of nowhere, and it works perfectly. And they take it in this room without any guns, and the wires are exposed and stuff, but they managed to take out three guys, and the thing that breaks it is the battery fucking explodes. There's no... how the fuck? This... Oh. It's just... So then we get this more villain monologue. Eventually, the black guy that was with the assassin chick died. And then the workaholics guy magically comes out as gay, which is another thing that bogs this movie down. Why all of a sudden would this guy in the middle of the fucking action, oh, I'm gay? Well, maybe you could have put that in the character development at the beginning of the movie. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So then they have this big fight with this assassin chick. And it ends with... oh shit, I gotta say this. It ends with this. The hotel manager comes back and he's holding his dick in his hand. And the secretary chick comes up and she's like, "Oh, sir, you're alive." And he's like... And he's being all pervy again. But then she gets mad at him because... she takes the dick out of his hand and then throws it against the wall. And then this manager guy is like all scared and stuff. But then the assassin chick gets distracted and I think the final girl's guy ends up kicking her in the chest or something. And she falls onto a wooden spike and it goes through her heart. Then she dies. But I don't know what happens to the manager. He just goes off screen. And I guess the secretary chick takes over control of the hotel. So then we get to the roof scene, and fucking the rich guy is with the bad guy, and there's a helicopter pilot. And there's another guard coming, but the bad guy shoots him for some reason, and they're about to get away. He didn't get the money, but... he's trying to get away before the FBI gets him, and he fucking stays there for a second, and the three guys show up with 3 bags full of something, and he pulls some bills out. And he's like, "Here's your fucking money, just leave the rich guy." So he's afraid that they'll shoot him out of the sky if they see the rich guy leave the helicopter. So they put him inside a bag. And another big twist that was actually pretty cool. He shoots the bag and it hits him in the stomach. It doesn't kill the guy. And he takes the bags, and come to find out that all of the bomb collars that were on all the people are now in the bags, and it blows up the helicopter and kills the bad guy. Long story short, they get a video game made by them that was produced by the guy from Shark Tank, the one guy that owns that football team. A video game gets produced by them, and the movie ends with them on a boat, and it sets up for a sequel called Game Overboard. And there's these sea pirates with assault rifles and stuff coming up to the boat. So there probably will be a sequel to this. Yeah. Critical standpoint, what would I rate this movie? Now, mind you that I have A+, which is the best, A, which is really good but doesn't deserve to be an A+, B, which is, it was alright, C, which is meh, D, which is bad, and F, which is fucking terrible. Then I also have a category for so bad it's good. So bad it's good, and / guilty pleasures. This one, I'd give it a C. I gotta put it in meh. It's not a bad movie. It's got some up points, but I'm gonna have to put it in meh. This is a meh movie. Now, The Babysitter would be a guilty pleasure for me. Because it's not bad, in my opinion. It's not as so bad as good. It's more of a guilty pleasure. But this one I'd have to put in meh. It's meh. It's alright. It's just okay.
just okay. Um, yeah, you heard my opinion. I just went through the entire plot of the movie. So remember to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed my review of Game Over Man.